they say this thing about him spitting in your lane or something like that. Was that true? Did he spit in your lane?
Did I? I don't even know if I did.
Oh, it was. We gonna bring it. We gonna bring it.
I had to really.
It was her first.
Spit in your lane. The documentary thinking like
it was her first. It was our first race together. It was in Zagreb. I can never forget.
He ain't never gonna forget it.
Usain Bolt just dropped a bombshell about his rivalry with Justin Gatlin. On the Ready, Set, Go podcast, the sprint legend revealed a long hidden act of intimidation from their 2011 showdown, one that stuck with him his entire career. Now, over a decade later, he's finally telling the full story, and it's not what anyone expected. Bolt said, "You know when you warm up and you're running out of your blocks? I was walking back and he was walking towards me, and he kind of spat across the lane in front of me, demonstrating the relaxed demeanor that made him a global icon both on and off the track." Despite the apparent slight, Bolt explained that he instantly recognized the psychological warfare at play. "I laughed because I knew what he was trying to do, but for me, it doesn't matter. I understood why. Remember, Justin was in the era of Maurice Green and all these guys. That's what he is used to. That's the mentality."
I'm listening.
This is our first, but no, I understood why. Remember, Justin was in the era of Maurice Green and all these guys.
Yes.
That's what he's used to. That's a mentality. So when you come back and you see these guys chilling, you don't want to be anybody's friend. You know what I mean? So I got that. You know what I mean? But for me, it was funny because I understood in track and field how it is.
The revelation provides extraordinary insight into the psychological dimensions of one of track and field's greatest rivalries, highlighting the stark contrast between Gatlin's old-school intimidation tactics and Bolt's seemingly unflappable confidence. Rather than being rattled by the display, Bolt claims he found humor in the situation. "For me, it was funny, because I understood in track and field how it is. I wasn't worried. I looked up and I smiled because I understood he was just trying to intimidate me, but I wasn't worried." This response perfectly encapsulates the mental fortitude that helped Bolt dominate the sprinting world for nearly a decade, maintaining his composure even when competitors attempted to break his concentration through such tactics.
I know he's not going to come back and start running fast because it's going to take you a while to get going. So I wasn't worried. You know what I mean? And he just got back and we were running the first race in Zagreb. And I can't never forget. I ran out. I was coming back and he's walking. You know he's walking, he does. And he kind of spat across my lane and I looked up and I smiled because I understood that.
The podcast created an unexpected moment of reconciliation as Gatlin, confronted with Bolt's recollection, immediately offered an apology, though he attempted to downplay any malicious intent behind the incident. "I apologize," the American said, drawing laughter from Bolt, who clearly harbored no lingering resentment. Gatlin continued with his explanation. "The thing is, for me, I'm so focused. I don't even think in that moment I was thinking about doing those little petty trickery things, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, I got allergies. I'm constantly trying to get my mouth clear so I can go run with my sinuses. It was never an F Usain Bolt sort of thing."
I'm so focused.
Yeah.
And I don't even think at that moment I was even thinking about like doing those little petty trickery things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking like, in that point, I got allergies. You know what I'm saying? So I'm constantly like trying to get my mouth clear so I can go run in my sinuses. I didn't think it was never like like, you know, F Usain Bolt kind of thing. It was the fact I think I was just focused on trying to get ready for my race. But the thing is for me is like, I can say now that I helped contribute to the greatness.
Bro, no.
So when I saw the docu, everybody was like, man, when you said it, people always came back to me and say, "How dare you do that to him?" I was like, "Did you do that?"
That's what people do.
Yes, bro. They
Jesus,
did.
yo.
They was like, "You
People,
so
relax,
disrespectful."
people. Relax. It's competitive. Relax. It's not that serious. No, let me say something, bro. We're here. I say this many times. If you see my interviews, I always say this. You're one of the greatest persons I've ever competed with.
The five-time Olympic medalist even jokingly suggested that his actions inadvertently helped contribute to the greatness of Bolt's career, acknowledging the Jamaican's unparalleled achievements in the sport. But wait, there is more. This exchange highlights the evolution of their relationship from fierce competitors to mutual admirers, with both men now able to discuss past tensions with good humor. Gatlin noted that after the incident resurfaced in a documentary, he faced significant backlash from fans. When I saw it in the documentary, everybody always came back to me and said, "How dare you do that to him?" I'm like, "Bro, I didn't do anything." Bolt's response, "Relax, people. Relax," further demonstrates his willingness to let bygones be bygones, focusing instead on the respect that developed between the two champions over years of competition.
Bro,
So when I saw it on the docu, everybody was like, man, when you said it, people always came back to me and say, "How dare you do that to him?" I was like, "Did you do that?"
No,
That's
they
what
did
you
do.
do.
Yes, bro. They
Jesus,
did.
yo.
They was like, you
People,
so
relax,
disrespectful.
people. Relax.
The timing of this revelation is particularly significant, as it comes years after both men have retired from professional competition. Gatlin, who won 100-meter gold at the 2004 Athens Olympics, before serving a 4-year doping suspension that sidelined him during Bolt's emergence at Beijing 2008, ultimately became one of Bolt's most consistent challengers. Their Olympic rivalry officially began at London 2012, where Bolt defended his 100-meter title while Gatlin settled for bronze. 4 years later in Rio, Bolt triumphed once more with Gatlin claiming silver. The culmination of their competitive history came at the 2017 World Championships, where Gatlin secured gold in Bolt's final 100-meter race, with the Jamaican taking bronze, a symbolic passing of the torch that marked the end of an era in sprinting. Despite the intensity of their rivalry and the psychological tactics employed, Bolt made it clear during the podcast that he holds tremendous respect for Gatlin's abilities and competitive spirit. "Let me say something, bro," Bolt told his former rival. "I say this many times. If you see my interviews, I always say this. You're one of the greatest people I have ever competed with. My coach told me to listen. One guy is going to show up, and it's going to be Justin. That's the respect my coach has for you." This acknowledgement from both Bolt and his renowned coach Glenn Mills speaks volumes about Gatlin's status as one of the era's premier sprinters, despite often being overshadowed by Bolt's unprecedented dominance and charismatic presence. In a surprising twist to their continuing story, Bolt teased a possible return to the track, not for competitive glory, but for a special all-star exhibition event that would reunite several retired sprinting legends, including Gatlin. "I'm ready, just for the fun of it. I'm ready, let's go. It'll be fun," Bolt enthusiastically told Green and Gatlin. However, when asked specifically about renewing his rivalry with Gatlin, Bolt quickly demurred with characteristic humor. "Nah, man, Justin him? He's in too good of a shape. Bro, I see him doing starts all the time. I asked him, I text him, bro, why are you in such good shape?" This playful exchange suggests that while their competitive days may be behind them, their connection continues through mutual respect and friendship.
Maybe we could have a future event, if the numbers are right, of a rematch.
Nah, man, Justin is him. He's in too good of a shape, bro. I see him doing starts all the time. I asked him the other day, I texted him, I was like, bro, why are you in such a good shape? Like,
He said, why?
Why?
The revelation about Gatlin's mind games adds another fascinating layer to the legacy of one of sport's greatest rivalries. It showcases not only the psychological aspects of elite competition, but also how differently athletes approach mental warfare. While Gatlin emerged from an era where intimidation tactics were common among sprinters, Bolt represented a new generation that relied more on self-confidence and performance-focused preparation. Their contrasting approaches created a compelling dynamic on the track, with Bolt's seemingly carefree demeanor often concealing the intense focus and determination that drove his historic performances. For track and field fans, this long-awaited disclosure provides valuable context to a rivalry that helped define an era in the sport. It reminds us that behind the lightning-fast races and photo finishes were complex psychological battles and mind games that added depth to every competition. More importantly, it highlights how even the fiercest rivals can eventually develop mutual respect and even friendship. with Bolt and Gatlin now comfortable enough to joke about incidents that once might have created genuine tension between them. As these two sprinting legends continue their post-competition lives, their willingness to revisit and reconcile past conflicts offers an inspiring example of how sports rivalries can evolve into meaningful relationships built on shared experiences and mutual appreciation. What do you think? Does this revelation change how you view their rivalry? Share your thoughts in the comments section and subscribe to our channel for more updates.
But he wouldn't walk past me. You would be like, hey, I would be like, hey. You know what I mean? But before that, bro, every time he passed me, he's like, and then I figured out that's just how he dealt with things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We understood that the prize is the championship. So we're no friends right now, bro. And I got that. But after like 3 years after me competing every time, I was like,
Usain Bolt just broke his silence on one of the most controversial moments of his rivalry with Justin Gatlin, and his revelation changes everything. For years, fans have speculated about the infamous lane spat incident from 2011, but now, Bolt is finally setting the record straight. Speaking on the Ready, Set, Go podcast with Rod Green, the sprint legend pulled back the curtain on the mind games, tension, and psychological warfare that fueled his battles with Gatlin. From shocking disrespect to the untold truth behind their fierce competition, this is a side of Bolt you've never heard before.
The rumors of Justin Gatlin coming back to the track and field. In 05, they say this thing about him spitting in your lane or something like that. Was that true? Did he spit in your lane?
Did I? I don't even know if I did.
Oh, it was.
We gonna bring it. We gonna bring it.
I had to really.
It was
Listen, I was listening.
in
I'm
your
watching the
lane.
documentary thinking like.
It was our first race together. It was in Zagreb. I can never forget.
He ain't never gonna forget it.
After a couple of years, Bolt finally revealed, addressing an incident that has been the subject of speculation for over a decade among track enthusiasts. He said, "I'll never forget it. I ran my race, and as I was coming back, he was walking. He does that, and then he kind of sped across my lane." This confrontation occurred during a particularly significant moment in their rivalry, as Gatlin was making his competitive return following a doping ban and facing Bolt for the first time since his comeback.
And I can't never forget. I ran out. I was coming back, and he's walking. You know he's walking. He does, and he kind of sped across my lane, and I looked up and I smiled because I understood that he's just trying to intimidate me. But I'm not worried about
so
you.
So you
right
did
now.
spit in this man's lane?
Yeah.
Listen, bro.
I could never forget, man. It was
so the rumor is true.
I could never forget. This is our first race we ever ran together.
The stakes were extraordinarily high for both athletes. Bolt was looking to bounce back after a shocking disqualification at the World Championships due to a false start, while Gatlin was eager to prove himself against the established king of sprinting after his suspension. Despite taking a cautious approach to avoid another disqualification, Bolt still dominated the race with a season-best time of 9.85 seconds, spoiling what was supposed to be Gatlin's triumphant return to elite competition. This revelation particularly stunning is how Bolt interpreted the incident at the time and how he chose to respond to what appeared to be a clear attempt at intimidation from his American rival. Rather than confronting Gatlin or making a public issue of the disrespectful act, Bolt revealed that he simply looked up and smiled because I knew he was trying to intimidate me, but I wasn't worried about him. The thing is, I was so focused. I don't even think at that moment I was trying to do any of those little petty mind games, you know what I'm saying? This response offers a fascinating glimpse into the psychological makeup that helped make Bolt the greatest sprinter in history. The ability to recognize mind games for what they were while maintaining an unshakable focus on his own performance. His decision to share this perspective now, years after both athletes have retired from competition, demonstrates the lasting impact these psychological battles had, even on someone who appeared outwardly unaffected by them during his career. But wait, there is more. The podcast created an unexpected moment of reconciliation when host Rod Green later confronted Gatlin about the incident, giving the American sprinter an opportunity to address his actions. Gatlin's response was immediate. I apologize. Yo, it wasn't even anything bad. Nah, I just, I do him like that. He's always hard on me. I'm always hard on him.
I'm not worried about
you.
So
you
right
did
now.
Spit in this man's lane?
Yeah.
Listen, bro.
I could never forget, man. It was
so the rumor is true.
I could never forget.
Spitting
This
in
is our
people's
first
lanes.
race
This is
we
crazy.
ever ran together. in Zagreb.
I remember the race.
Do you apologize for spitting?
I apologize.
It's not even anything bad.
No. I just I do
competing.
I do him like that though. I do.
He always hard on me.
Always hard on him though.
He my MJ dog. He keep me grounded.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for me, is like,
this acknowledgement and apology from Gatlin adds another layer to the complex relationship between these two sprinting giants, suggesting that what appeared to outsiders as disrespect was, in Gatlin's mind, simply part of the competitive back and forth that defined their rivalry. The contrast between how the incident was perceived by fans and how it was understood by the athletes themselves highlights the intense but ultimately respectful competition that existed between them, where psychological tactics were fair game but remained within the bounds of professional sportsmanship.
Bolt gets away quite well. Gatlin's away, and Gatlin looks to me to be going well. St Kitts and Nevis going well. Look at this from Gatlin, and Gatlin, is Bolt going to take it, or Gatlin gets it?
The timing of Bolt's decision to address this incident coincides with broader revelations about the psychological dimensions of their legendary rivalry, including a surprising moment of vulnerability from Gatlin before their iconic 2015 World Championship showdown. Heading into that competition, the dynamic between the two sprinters had shifted dramatically. Gatlin was dominating the season with consistent sub-9.8 second performances and a blistering 9.74, while Bolt struggled with injuries and had only managed 9.87 as his season best. For perhaps the first time in their rivalry, Bolt wasn't the favorite. Then, in an unexpected breach of their pre-race protocol, Gatlin spoke to Bolt in the warm-up area, asking, "Yo, you ready to go?" This unusual interaction caught Bolt off guard. As he noted, "I was surprised because I didn't expect him to say that. I was like, yeah, cool." The significance of this moment wasn't lost on the Jamaican superstar, who immediately recognized what it revealed. Ah, shit, he's nervous. And that helped because now I know he's nervous. I'm nervous too. This psychological insight proved crucial in what became one of their most dramatic confrontations. Despite Gatlin's early lead through the first 50 to 60 meters of the race, Bolt surged ahead when it mattered most, crossing the finish line just 0.01 seconds ahead of his rival. The difference in a race decided by such a minuscule margin? According to Bolt, it was understanding that despite Gatlin's dominant season and his own struggles, they were both feeling the pressure of the moment. This revelation, combined with Bolt's disclosure about the 2011 lane incident, offers fans an unprecedented look at the mental chess match that was occurring alongside the physical battle whenever these two sprint titans faced each other on the track. These insights transform our understanding of their rivalry from a simple competition of speed to a complex psychological duel where every interaction, no matter how small, could provide a critical edge. The Bolt-Gatlin rivalry stands as one of the most compelling in sprinting history, with their competitions routinely drawing global attention and often representing broader narratives about the sport itself. Their clashes at the 2015 World Championships in Beijing, where Gatlin faltered in the final meters, and the dramatic 2017 showdown in London, where Gatlin finally defeated Bolt in the Jamaicans' farewell competition, were defining moments in track and field. What makes Bolt's recent revelations particularly valuable is how they illuminate the psychological undercurrents that helped shape these historic races. For fans who witness these moments, understanding the mental warfare that accompanied the physical competition adds rich new dimensions to races they thought they understood completely. What appeared to be simple displays of speed and power were, in fact, complex encounters where psychological resilience often made the difference between victory and defeat at the highest levels of the sport. As both sprinters have moved into retirement, these revelations about their competitive psychology offer valuable insights not just for track fans, but for anyone interested in the mental aspects of elite performance. Bolt's ability to recognize intimidation tactics without being rattled by them, and his skill in detecting vulnerability in a dominant opponent speak to the psychological mastery that complemented his physical gifts. Meanwhile, Gatlin's willingness to acknowledge and apologize for past mind games demonstrates the respect that ultimately existed between these fierce competitors despite the intensity of their rivalry. Together, their stories reveal that beneath the explosive races that captured the world's attention was a nuanced battle of wills and minds that was as compelling as the physical competition that played out over 100 meters of track.